Football. A game where greatness is defined in an instant. A game of suspense, skill and strength. A game of trials and triumphs. All in the pursuit of one thing: victory. Experience all football has to offer. See Victory League live.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to KG5 Football Park for the second Victory Cup semi-final. This one should be a beauty. On paper, it's an absolute blockbuster. We've got Tilford Zebras taking on South Hobart, the top two from the Victory League. They've played 5 times this year, 2 wins apiece and a 0-0 draw. It couldn't be more delicately poised for an absolutely rip-snorting semi-final. I'm Damien Gill from FFT. I'll be calling this one live to you, whistle to whistle. Joined today by the Mercury's Alex Luttrell. Alex, we saw an interesting semi-final, that one, but this one should take it to another level. Two massive teams that are sure to leave nothing out there in pursuit of a spot in the Victory Cup Grand Final.
Yeah, g'day Gilly. I agree with you there, mate. It's going to be a huge semi-final here. Obviously the Rangers getting up 3-1 over the Warriors earlier today in the first semi-final. Absolutely massive game. This one is the top 2 sides in the competition in the Victory League. As you said, 2 wins apiece and the 0-0 draw in the final 7 matches within there. I think it was around 16 off the top of my head. The big news in terms of squads for South Hobart, Chris Hunt, the wing commander, starting for Connor Cass on the wing. That'll be huge, and you said to me just before he needs to start. Is a real brute on the field, and even so Cass can come on and create havoc as well, as you said as well. So, and for the Zebras, Ethan Ingles, the big one, he's out. The young winger / striker, pint-sized striker. You can muster up anything. Very good technically, very pacey. He's out with a cracked ankle bone, I think it was, and a sprained ankle as well. So he'll be out. He's been playing on a sprained ankle for about 5 weeks apparently. So no good for him at this time of the year. But Andy Clark will come in for him on the right wing, we suspect. So it could be okay for the Zebras, but it's going to be a very tough game for him against South Hobart.
Get on to the lineups. Tilford Zebras named first as the home team. In no particular order: Andrew Clark, Russell Courtney, Henry Fagg, Matthew Ferguson, Curran Ferns, Josh Fielding. It could be his last game, Ludders. Josh Fielding in Zebras colours. Alex Lazinski, Adam McEwen, Matthias Toghill, Dwayne Walsh and Ben Whitehall, with David Cox, Nick McDonald, Marcello Marcioli, Jordan Muller and Nathan Pitchford in reserve. Interesting starting lineups, that one. Who do you expect to take Ethan Ingles' spot in an attacking sense?
I think it'll be Clarkey, mate, on the right wing. I don't see anyone out there at the moment. I mean, Walsh has played at fullback all year. He could, and that was one of the options listed. Yeah, he's very capable of playing there, but I think it's such a big game to be able to bring someone into that position and expect them to perform might be a little difficult. But in saying that, Walshy is a really good outlet, real pacey, real strong, and Andy Clark can play at fullback. We know they play there at Eagles, he's played there at Zebras this season. So there are a host of options for the Zebras. Nick McDonald was one. He's named on the bench for the Zebras as well. So Ben Whitehall you'd expect would take the left wing, but remains to be seen. The teams are starting to line up now. They've all shaken hands. So I'm in for a real blockbuster here, Gilly.
Absolutely. We'll go through South Hobart's team quickly. Andy Brennan, Chris Hunt, as we spoke about earlier, Scott Lamont, Matt Lewis, Hugh Ludford, Caleb Ludlow. So many L's there, it's crazy. Braden Mann, I can't quite pick that one out. It's not the best team sheet I've ever seen. Kane Pearce, who else we got? Liam Scott, Hugh Undy, and the other one I mustn't be able to pick out. I might need your help, Ludders. Who is that? Nick Morton. It's in very strange writing. And in reserve for South Hobart, Darcy Hall, Ben Hamlet, Jaden Hay, Connor Cass and Mark Monkhurst. So some serious firepower on the bench for the champions. It'll be an interesting clash, this one, Ludders. We spoke about Chris Hunt. I think he could be crucial for South Hobart. I think he could really catch the Zebras off guard a little bit. And also, when over in Victoria, was playing wing-back with the Brunswick Zebras. So it'll be interesting to see if he is deployed at wing-back. It might just suit him quite a bit. two massive sides. They're not going to leave anything out there. As I said, Ladders, this is going to be a really high-intensity fixture, I think. And for me, I'm tipping South Hobart just because I said I think they'll get on top in midfield. I think they've got players with a bit more flair and creativity through that area. What about yourself?
Well, I was tempted to go against the Zebras sheerly because of the fact that Ethan Ingles is out. But I think that it's not a one-man team with Clark in as well. I'm not going to underestimate him, so I'm going to, simply for the conflict element as well, Gilly, I think I'm going to stick with the Zebras, my tip earlier in the week. And we have kickoff here. Liam Scott on the ball, puts it into Rexy Hunt. He comes down, his pass is deflected out by Dwayne Walsh, and Ben Whitehall on the ball now. Puts it into Lazinski. And Hugh Ludford just leaves it for Kane Pearce to mop up, and he rolls it out now to Scott Lamont, the Scotsman. Clark closing in, dishes it out to Lewis, who's at right back. He puts it into Nick Morton, who's very deep. He dishes it out to Ludlow in the centre circle. He's forced back, goes out to Ludford. There's a lot of L's in this squad, Gilly. Rexy Hunt now skips around Ferns, who took a diving tackle too early. Dishes it into Mann. His pass is intercepted by Josh Fielding. Huundy now goes back to Scotty Lamont, and as I say that, Callan Pask has just rocked up there. I'll get his words, his thoughts on the game shortly, but for the moment, Huundy now puts it into Andy Brennan, and they're away here, South Hobart. He sends in a cross, and that one's still right. What an absolute, not the most pinpoint cross he'll ever put in, Gilly.
No, his best effort. Paskey, you've raced over here from Linda Grove. I got the news just recently that Uni had the better of your Beachside boys, but how are you travelling?
Yeah, just sucking down a sports drink, i.e. Coke, Gilly. Yeah, we got pumped. Ended with 9 men on the pitch for the last half hour. So, yeah, congratulations to Uni, and they'll move forward into the finals. And I've just heard Rangers up and about on my way in. Saw Toddy Hingston and said he'll enjoy another bus trip next week. So, fantastic. But led to believe the game's just started here, hasn't it? It'll be a fascinating affair here between Zebras and South, mate. They have been all year, haven't they, Gilly? So, no, really interested to see how they shape up and how Zebras attack this one.
Exactly right, Paskey. Scott Lamont on the ball now. Clears it forward. Falls out to Matthias Toghill now. He's starting at left full back. Puts it into Courtney, who dishes it out to the spreading Josh Fielding. Undy closing in. He puts it down the line to Ben Whitehall. He tussles with Rexy Hunt, who started quite lively, Chris Hunt, as you said alluded to before, Gilly. Liam Scott with the throwing now for South Hobart on the left. The lights have actually come on pretty early, you have to say. Cleared forward by Huundy, and it's spilled out to Matt Ferguson. A little bit too much head on that one. He's very frustrated with himself there, Huundy. Courtney on the ball. Puts it into Ferns. He's very deep. Ludlow closing in, so he's forced back to Ferguson. First touch out to Josh Fielding now. He goes centrally to Ferns, to Fag, and Courtney now. Clears it out onto the left, just chips it first time to Toghill. A little bit too much on that one. He heads it down. It's intercepted. Man on the ball now. Clark gets a foot to it, clears it forward. Andy Brennan on the ball now. He tussles with Lazinski, but I think he's going to win out here is Brennan. He dishes it down to Chris Hunt, and Hunt wasn't really aware of that through ball there, and it's out for a Zebras throw in on the right-hand side. 4 minutes in, and it's already the game showed a lot of promise for what is to come.
Interesting to see Andy Clark has been deployed as a winger in the absence of Ethan Ingles. A bit of a loss, Ethan Ingles, I think. When they beat them earlier on this year, Ethan Ingles did score, so that's one they'll have to fill as the ball comes into midfield, headed from the bullseye from Nick Morton back to Hugh Ludford, who cannons it down the left. Comes to Chris Hunt, who's been lively. His first start for the season. Looks to get past Walsh. Oh, the knowledgeable old dome of Josh Fielding picks that one up. He races away, finds Lazinski, who feeds back to Fielding, and he sprays across well wide of Whitehall and out of play. So this could be Fielding's last game. Of course, he said this will be his last season in Tasmania playing football. Might not be his last season of football because he's a little bit of a sea change up to Queensland, and that's where the Silk Boxers will be strutting their stuff up there on the Gold Coast.
Not great for ventilation, the Silk Boxer either, so interesting to see how he attacks that up in the northern states. as the ball moves out to Fag, but he can't control it and it's out for a throw in. Undy on the ball now. Interesting, looks like Hugh Undy's been pushed on a little bit further up in this formation for South Hobart. With obviously Rex Hunting on the left, Ludlow in the middle of it, still controlling things, as he has all season. Ball goes back to Ludford and he'll shape to go back to Pearce and then send it down the left to Liam Scott. Striding forward, 1-on-1 v Walsh, and the ball is out for a throw for Zebras. Have you already provided tips for this one, boys?
Yes, yeah, we have. Well, South Hobart for mine, a close one. I think, as I thought, Chris Hunt would have a big one, just relishing the starting opportunity. Obviously, still pretty early days in this one. Pascal, without a goal, you can probably make a prediction yourself.
Yeah, I'm gonna say South Hobart 3-2. Gilly, 3-2. But a lovely night for football, isn't it? A beautiful day. Having said that, I played earlier up at uni, and it's normally a horrible pitch to play on if it's windy or rainy. But it was a beautiful day up there today, and it's the same out here at KG5. Twilight, it's a great night for football. There's a fair old crowd in Gilly as well. They stand pretty full, and a really nice atmosphere out here at KG5.
It's great stuff as the ball comes down the right. Brennan meets it in the air, looking for Undy. Fag wins it with a header. Brennan tries to help it back the other way. A skied ball comes from Ferns to Undy, dinks it forward. Nobody home but Russell Courtney. Takes a touch, measures it a pass to Ferns. Ferns does well, ping-pongs it back to Fielding, and out on the right they go. Dwayne Walsh takes a touch. Loud set of lime green wheels. Plays it forward, just like he likes his cordial. Headed down from Lamont, comes out on the left through Lizinski, and Lewis crunches into him and sees it out of play. So it'll be a throw-in for Fag. Hooch. No Turner today. Fag throws it in front of Toghill. He, first time, puts a ball into the box. Scott sees it clear, only as far as Ferns. Gets it to McEwen. McEwen out to Toghill. Brennan gets this one, puts it out in front of himself and looks to run onto it. Uses his toe well. He's got Fielding to deal with now. Looks to dink inside. A little bit of a bobble helps out Fielding. He collects Brennan. Brennan still has the ball, sits on it, uses it as an armchair. And this will be a drop ball, I think. Slice of cheese early for Brennan. Not happy at all is Kim Barker. Brennan was not happy with the treatment from Fag in the incident. Barker completely disagreed and is just ripped the slice of cheese from his pocket and showed it straight to Brennan, and the drop ball ends up with Zebra's ball. They pump it forward. Looking for Lizinski. He gets a head on it, but Ludford will mop it up. Decides not to go back to Pearce, puts it above his own head. Lewis does well to bustle in the air against Lizinski. Only as far as McEwen, though. Dinks along, finds Lizinski. A heavy ball should bounce safely to Pearce. And an interesting start, a real cagey start. Out on the left they go through Scott. Strolls beyond halfway, finds Man. Man back to Scott. And then through to Undy. Plays along to Lewis. South Hobart number 14 will try and get it down the right, and Clark blocks well and sees it out for a throw-in. So Clark should be relishing a rare start. Of course, he's pretty well been the go-to substitute for Jed Donny, who hasn't played a lot of minutes in the starting lineup. As the throw-in comes in, Morton has it. Man in a lot of space out on the left. Gets it to him eventually. Ball's off his boot. Man, and then he looks to turn inside of McEwen, threads it through, finds Undy, well taken off him by Courtney. Jeez, he's good. Gets it to Ferns. Ferns feeds McEwen. He's got Morton keeping him honest. Plays back to the defence. Walsh cannons it forward. Looking for Clark, dealt with in the air by Lewis, down to Brennan. Brennan gets it on the boot immediately. Comes to Toghill. Looks to cut inside and find Ferns. Ludlow gets a boot in, comes to Ferns in the end, and he tries to swing it out on the left, and it goes over the head of Fag and out of play. So an interesting start, Paskey. I wouldn't say either side has had the upper hand.
Yeah, Toghill having a little bit of trouble here on the left, just keeping possession, gifting it back to South Hobart a little bit. I think Ferns has been really good early on for them. I think I've been continually impressed with him throughout the season. He's come of age in the Zebras team, I reckon. Plays a really nice defensive role for them and turns things around and gets them into attack. He's got a bit of a Last Samurai about him with that hairdo as well, Gilly. Top knot, bun, if you will. As South Hobart come in through Ludlow, looks to play into the feet of man. The flag is up, and he just turned out. Ferguson was there to collect at his feet, so it wouldn't have been a goal anyway, but worrying signs there, man, getting in behind that Zebras defence. Lime Cordial just plays it into Fielding, who goes up to Whitehall. There's a fair few loud hot pink, hot green Lime Cordial boots out there at the moment, Gilly. Oh, Lime Cordial Welsh. I was driving down here today thinking about slice of cheese, Gilly. FFA are mad if they don't get a slice of cheese sponsor on for the FFA Cup next year. I would have to think Bega would throw 20 or 30 grand at that, wouldn't they? As the ball comes forward now to Lazinski now in the corner, trying to work over Ludford. Shimmies once, goes right, tries to play in, but it's only as far as Rex. He plays it out to Lime Cordial. Oh, just a little bit of a heavy touch. Morton tries to nip it off him, but he gets the cross in long and deep. Page there now. Heads back across to McEwen, but Clark, there. Heads back across to McEwen, but it's well cleared by Ludford. I thought Lewis was really stiff not to make the team of the year this year. Gilly, for long periods, Ludford has been absent, and he's been the rock of South Hobart's defence, and I think Lewis has really led the line beautifully for them. Really stiff not to make the team, I reckon.
Yeah, he was very, very close, I will say. It was a tough team to get into. There's been a bit of conjecture about, of course, Brassington missed out, and you'd say most seasons, with a season like Shane Brassington has had, he'd be in the team, but just a lot of strikers putting up their name this year. As the ball comes out on the right, stolen by Fag, gets it forward to McEwen, looks inside, finds Clark, he plays it down the left, looking for McEwen's run, and Lamont should cut it off. Who I've got to say, Scotty Lamont's played himself into a decent patch of form in recent weeks. It wasn't quite in their first 11 for some time, the Scotsman, but he's looked good in recent times, and a no-nonsense approach. He's sent this one high and long. It's come down with snow. To Ludlow, plays out on the left. Man looks to dink inside of Fielding, but knowledgeable Fielding. He's been there and done that. He's all over that one.
I heard you on ABC Radio today, Gilly. Really lovely little stint on there today. Just the voice of wisdom.
Little cameo. It wasn't my best work. Right towards the end of it got a bit croaky. As the ball came across the box, Ferns picks it up on the edge, plays it through to Lazinski. He looks to play it back. In the end, Walsh does well. Sharks it away from Hunt. Taken immediately off him from Scott. To Hunt now. Looks to dink by one. He's bustled over by Courtney. Jeez, he's good, Courtney. I'm impressed every time I watch him play. Tries to dink past Courtney again, does Hunt, but yet again, Courtney with a decisive touch, and Courtney telling the boys to come up, put pressure on them. The ball comes back the other way through Morton, just eludes Undy, thrown out from Ferguson, looking for Clark, comes to Lewis. Will he try a shot? No, he didn't get a chance to. Fag brings it down to Courtney. He dinks round one, but can't beat Undy. Comes to Lewis. Lewis in uncharted waters. This is not where you see Matt Lewis, and got a bit ahead of himself, I think, as the ball's tipped to McEwen. Comes to Ferns, back to McEwen. Clark in a lot of space here, uses him. He's out on the left now. He plays inside of McEwen. He can find Lazinski here. Ludford with, I think it was a really professional foul in the end. Only just checked the body of McEwen, but it was a smart bit of play. Held it up, allows his defence to pile back in and close up the space of Lazinski, because let's be honest, he's the real threat today. When Lazinski fires, Tilford Zebras generally fire. As Benny Whitehall from long range plays a ball to the back, almost finds the skipper in Fag, and Kane Pearce is filthy with his defence. And I think I'm just happy he didn't use any expletives.
You just urge Whitehall to shoot there, don't you, Gilly? You give him licence, especially with those boots. As the ball comes along from Pearce, but it's wayward now for a Zebras throw in. A good period of pressures here for Zebras. They certainly look compact in defence, led really well by Courtney. They're certainly sitting off 2 banks of 4. They'll leave Lazinski high, and I think what we'll see is they'll try to hit South on the break. They had a good counter-attack opportunity there that led to that free kick, and that's what we'll see today is them looking to break with speed. as Fielding clears nicely into the feet of Clark. Clark and Whitehall have just switched sides for the moment, as you so often see wingers do now. Oh, Clark came in, studs up on Morton, and Parker's blown the whistle. No slice of cheese appearing there. Probably a little bit lucky.
It's lucky to escape the beaker. I think there's real scope for a sponsorship, even locally. We've got Specsavers on board as a referee sponsor and really value that contribution. But why can't, when they get the card out, it just has a big beaker plastered across the front we can't see? Or maybe a couple of little holes in it to make it look like a piece of Swiss. As it comes down the left, Undy on the ball tries to put a cross into the box. It's well blocked by Lime, Cordial, Walsh, and out for a corner kick. South Hobart yet to really threaten. It's been an interesting start. Both teams just sort of feeling one another out. They've met quite a few times this season, and mixed results, you got to say. Form counts for virtually nothing when these two teams meet. We saw South Hobart as Morton delivers into the front post. Fielding rises high. It comes to Mann. He tries an ambitious strike and then tips out to Ludlow, who blasts over the bar.
Where's Corndog Cornish? I was led to believe he was calling today.
So Corndog called the first game. Now he's got to go off and limber himself up for a big final for Clarence this evening. They 6 p.m. they kick off against Taroona. Should be a beauty. Ferns wins it in the air. He's a good player, Ferns, I've got to say. He comes to Fag. He fires forward. Back the other way, though, and then to Whitehall. Whitehall. As he does so regularly, gets it immediately on the boot and well cleared through Scott and then Pearce.
Give you the hot tip, Clarence will do Taroona easily.
Easily is the word here from Callum Pask, as the ball comes back to Ludford in their defence. Plays forward to Hunt. It's not the best ball from Ludford. It's let in Ferns. He's held up nicely as Ferns. He's got it across to McEwen. Lovely bit of work there from Curran Ferns. McEwen looks to get by Lamont. Great challenge, Lamont. The Scotsman's done well. Looks to play forward, looking for Brennan. It's cut off well by Toghill. No nonsense approach. Smashes this one out to the far side.
Yeah, McEwen was on there, if not for that final tackle from Scotty Lamont. He did very well, and McEwen was visibly frustrated. In the meantime, Pearce now goes back to Scott Lamont, who's more in goals than Pearce, who's actually more in a left-back position. He clears it out, and Walsh just gets a little touch out to McEwen now. Clark on the ball, 1-2 with him and McEwen. McEwen comes forward, and Nick Morton's done very well just to track back there and earn the ball back. Ludlow now dishes it out to Rexy Hunt on the left. The wing commando puts it into, I think it's Braden Mann there. Dishes it back in. And Hunt comes down the left. Fielding for company. He cuts inside. He's got a few zebra shirts around him. He opts to go back to Ludlow. He puts it in for Mann. He's through here. He's Mann. Mann's through. Goal! Goal time. A sliding tackle from Russell Courtney. Just let Mann in there. I think he was even surprised himself. And slots it coolly into the bottom left-hand corner. 1-0 South Hobart in the 18th minute. And they just looked. It was Caleb Ludlow, I think, that put the ball into Braden Mann, and Russell Courtney came out. And put in a bit of an early slide tackle, and it just allowed Mann to slip past him and slide it home. A rare misjudged move from Russell Courtney. We don't see do that too often. Kickoff comes and McEwen starts it away. Immediately has a shot that challenges Kane Pearce. He just parries it away rather. McEwen on the ball again on the right. Morton for company, and he gets it off him. Morton comes forward now. Still got McEwen there. He puts in a tackle, but he gets it out to Hunt. Undy on the ball now. As South stream forward again. He switches it out to Andy Brennan on the right. Scott Matthias Toghill now just jockeying him. Sends him out wide. Brennan manages to get the cross in, and lucky Walsh was there because Mann would have been in for his second in a minute. And Walsh clears it out for a corner for South Hobart. It's all happening. Minute of fury, Gilly.
Yeah, this is what I thought. I thought that the midfield of South Hobart would have a big say on this game, because we know Zebras have an interesting midfield, a couple of negators in there. Curran Ferns has looked good though, I've got to say, early, but the likes of Ludlow and Morton can can have a decent involvement. I think South Hobart can skip away to a decent lead here as Morton plays in a corner. Looking for Brennan. He gets a firm header on it, but it's well wide of goal.
Just such a sharp turn from man at the top of the box there. Just quick feet. Look, nothing fancy about it. No step over, but Courtney had committed and he just moved the ball, changed the direction and was in, and then was able to slide home really nicely. Sharp stuff, and that's why he wins the Golden Boot two years in a row. Isn't that right, Gilly? He's got that killer instinct. He gets at the top of the box. He gets inside, beats players, and he's got the finishing touch as well. And he loves scoring goals. And cometh the hour, cometh the man. And 18 minutes in, South Hobart lead. Tilford Zebras 1-0.
Yeah, good start for South Hobart in the end after a bit of a feeler period early as Scott picks this one out on the left. He'll look to switch it up through Lamont. Lamont drives forward out to Brennan. Got Toghill with him. He'll look to burn him off. Cuts inside of Toghill. Skips him. Oh, great switch up from Brennan. Supreme stuff off the outside of his boot. Finds man well. Man gets it and starts running at the Zebras' defence. Tries an early shot, but Ferguson wise to it. Collects nicely. Diving to his right. Ferguson will bring this one back in. Where the game is 21 minutes old here at KG5, and so far South Hobart, the Victory League champions, have the upper hand with a goal not so long ago in the 18th minute. It was Man that struck as Man bustles into Fag, steals for Brennan, plays out on the right to Undy, who looked in on goal, if not for the linesman, who had a flag raised. A difficult one to tell from here. It was definitely a tight call. Undy was far from pleased with it, but South Hobart looking ominous on the break. So it'll be a free kick. Joshy Fielding, the journeyman, Mr. Silk Boxers, will leave this one for Courtney. He'll look to play it forward. Courtney chips out to the right, picks out Clark well, back to Walsh. Line Cordial gets it moving. It's taken away from Ludford, gets it touch in, but Cordial wins it back. Gets it along to Lazinski, back to Clark. Clark feeds forward, looking for McEwen. Over his head, it's in a little bit of a sandwich, and in the end it's tipped off the sandwich and into the boots of Pearce, and McEwen looks in a bit of strife. He was in between Lamont and Lewis, rather, and the ball got squeezed in there as well. In the end, it bounced off and bounced to Pearce, but McEwen looks in a little bit of strife.
Yeah, it was a sandwich there between, obviously, as you said, I think it was Lamont and was it Lewis? Yeah. Lamont and Lewis, yeah. Wouldn't be the best sandwich he ever had. He fell pretty heavily too, so.
Not one going on the subway.
No, he's up and about now, so. Kane Pearce now rolls it out to Lamont on the edge of the 18-yard box. He comes down the right. Lazinski closing in. He shoots it down into Ludlow on the halfway line. He comes forward, chips it over looking for Undy, and Brennan is through here, but Matt Ferguson's up to that one. Good awareness from the keeper. Rolls it out to Ferns. He gives it back to Henry Fagg. Fielding on the ball now. Skips around a couple of orange shirts. That's why he won was it 2 or 3 Vic Tuning medals? Can't quite remember. He is still going, is Josh Fielding. He's trying to chase down Kane Pearce now. He just sits off that one and allows Pearce to clear. And Walsh gets a clearance to that clearance from Kane Pearce. Fielding heads it forward and Ludford attempts to clear it out, spills out to Lamont. He just is out to Scott on the left now as South Hobart look to attack. Ludlow on the ball now, goes back to Morton. He puts it into Rexy Hunt. Down the line to Scott. And he's taken out horribly by Andy Clark. He might be in trouble here, Andy Clark, because he's already put in a tackle that probably should have earned a slice of cheese. Nothing going. I'm very surprised at that, because normally you'd get just one warning. Andy Clark is a very lucky man today. I couldn't say from this distance that it was studs up, but that looked pretty horrible. Scott takes the free kick to Ludford, and back to Lamont. Back to Ludford. Very composed, as we so often see from South Hobart. Except for that moment there, just a little bit of worrying signs there from Hunt. The ball comes down to Scott. Walsh attempts to get the tackle in, but ball comes in from Scott. Rex here, Hunt on it now, puts it in. looking for Underuse in more of a centre forward role, interestingly enough. Ball's still in play here. And that one's gone out from Andy Brennan. He's tried to cross it in virtually on the byline. It's just seen out. So goal kick for the Tilford Zebras.
The harsh thing for the Zebras right here is there's two blokes in the stands not far from us that would be awfully handy right now. Kurt Engels and Ethan Engels both out injured. Geez, they'd kill for them, wouldn't they?
Double angle grinder. Yeah. You'd have them out there in a heartbeat, Gilly. Zebras just going through a tough period in the game here. Need to just hang on to it. Finding it really hard to get the ball into wide areas. Clark and Whitehall finding it hard to get on the ball and have an impact as Undy looks to get through at the feet of Fielding, the wily old veteran. But it's well seen out by him, and it'll be a Zebras goal kick. Just need to get control of it. Ferns has gone out of the game at the moment, and Fag hasn't seen a lot of it. So Zebras, just with perhaps a few formation tweaks, have sent Whitehall back over to right. Clark's come back out to left. So McEwen back in at the 10 position. So as South Hobart break now, turnover, they're in trouble. Ludlow's in, it's goal time. 26 minutes in and Zebras are imploding. The ball comes out and I think it was Brennan that found it at his feet. Poor distribution out of defence. Fielding played on Ludlow, and he had all the time in the world, waited for Ferguson to go down. Ferguson went left, and Ludlow slotted to his left. And South Hobart, 26 minutes in, lead this one 2-0. Gilly, it's slowly slipping away from Tilford Zebras.
Absolutely, that was a shocker. A rare mistake from a Zebras defence that's been so good over the last 13 weeks. Of course, they've gone on a 13-week unbeaten streak. It's played out on the right to Whitehall. He dinks it out in front of Lime Cordial. Walsh gets the ball. Here we go, Zebras. Played across. It looked like goal time for sure, if not for Lamont, who's been good early. And Benny Whitehall bustles into Ludford. Has a bit to say, does Benny Whitehall. Not sure I'd be chirping at 2-0 down, but he's a strange customer.
Yeah, I would be chirping at this at this early scoreline, Gilly, but Walsh looked very menacing down the right wing there, just getting the ball across, but numbers back for South Hobart. So Kane Pearce for the goal kick now. For the boys in orange, the Blackpool, Hobart's Blackpool. Morton on it now, just on the edge of 18, goes back to Pearce, he clears it long. Fielding gets a touchdown to Fag, his pass is intercepted by Ludlow, who goes out to Scott. I'd have to say Henry Fag has been quite lazy early, he hasn't really done much, hasn't had any impact on the game. Every time South go forward, he's sort of just in frustration, or he just looks frustrated, he's not really tracking back. They need to get him into the game as well as Ferns is drifting in and out of the contest. Obviously pretty good early, but we have a corner now for South Hobart. So we've got Nick Morton strutting over to take this one.
I know that we've changed the gaffer tape around these two microphones to a double rubber band type setup. We're really progressing here. As short corner goes into Liam Scott. He tries to just nip it into the back right, the back post, and Ferguson is there to clear away. Lewis heads clear, the big defensive header, but only as far as Lazinski. Goes to Scott now and comes out to Lime Cordial. He plays into the feet of McEwen. The rebound falls to him. South Hobart just in really confident mood at the moment. Gilly, I spoke midweek to Ken Morton, and he seems very confident they can get a result against South Melbourne. Really confident. In fact, perhaps too confident. But he'd been over to have a look at them. Of course, we're looking ahead here to the NPL final series where South will host South Melbourne. But he's looking beyond them. He believes that a win is well within their grasp. Not to say that he doesn't believe that they're a good team, but he thinks they've got the cattle to do it. So really confident South Hobart side at the moment, and we can see that out here on the pitch at the moment. 2-0, they lead the Tilford Zebras.
I think one for Ken Morton. I think when he would have got the draw of Tilford Zebras, he wouldn't have liked it too much in the first week. I think that's the sort of hit out he would have liked before the NPL final series, but at the moment there's going to be no issues about having 2 games. I think at the moment they're in the box seat for a position in the Victory Cup Grand Final. Okay.
And you're likely, by the sounds of it, to still get a really tight tussle with Rangers. They're no walkover. We've seen that. They've beaten South this year.
No walker over at all. It'll just be interesting to see whether they opt to shuffle the deck a little bit and Town start on the bench today, whether he starts in midfield and they put Hingston back into defence, which I think they might do against the firepower of South Hobart, but that's all to come. And Zebras, well, they could still win this game. There's a lot of time on their side. This is played out by the captain, Fag, into the box, right on the edge. Lamont heads down to Ludlow, gets it through to Brennan. Ferns intervenes, does well to McEwen, plays it away from Toghill, but he chases it down, does well. Toghill plays out on the left of Benny Whitehall. Well, he can't quite get to it. It's Morton picks it up, and then Lamont helps it on his way down the right. Caught a little bit of a zebra on the way, so it'll be a throw-in for South Hobart. Taken quickly by Brennan to Ludlow, who has far too much space for mine. Plays it forward, looking for Brennan. Fielding, very nervily, puts it onto the boot of Ferguson. He'll look to put this one a fair way from goal. In the end, there's a contest in the air between Ludlow and Ferns. Ferns interfering a fair bit with Ludlow, I've got to say there. There was a bit of shirt pulling, and Barker will want to be have his eyes on that one as a throw comes in from Ferns to Lazinski. Lamont, again, defiant, gets the ball and clears comfortably. Beyond halfway, looking for man, won by Lime Cordial. Walsh, he tries to run it out of play, and then Hunt wins it for a second. It looked like South Hobart might be on, but good pressure from Fag. Plays it down the line, and Scott will use Pearce to get it out. Yeah, again, Pearce just gets out the pitching wedge and just puts this one out of play. Throwing comes in from Fag, straight into the box. It was a strong throw. Now it's Morton and McEwen, the number 10s, tussling in the middle. It's put out by Scott, looking for Hunt, slid away well by Ferns. It'll be a throw-in for South Hobart on the far side, approaching halfway. 32 minutes gone, and one-way traffic at this point in time. South Hobart on top. Scott throws in to Ludlow, receives it back. Ludlow spins and plays out on the right, looking for Brennan. Ferguson wise to it, beats him to it, and rolls it out to Toghill. He'll get running the other way, but geez, Brennan's keeping him honest. Running back hard to Ferns, they've got to give him the ball more. He's a talented player. He puts it back to Courtney. Into fielding. His toe sees him out of position a little bit there, and Andy bustles him over, so it'll be a free kick for the Zebras. Approaching halfway. Just on the edge of the bullseye, I think this one will be taken. It'll be Courtney over it. The former Welsh Premier League defender. I believe he's actually going back to play in the Welsh Premier League after this, so that says a little bit about the standard of the Victory League competition.
Wowzers.
Yeah, so it's good, and it'd be good to see him at Zebras again next year if he just goes from Welsh Premier League to Victory League.
It'd be great to follow his progress over there too, Gilly.
As it's played down the right from Brennan, bouncing ahead of Undy. Oh, a heavy touch off the knee of Undy. Sees this one out of play, and fielding he has a bit to say. Cheeky man, Josh Fielding. Silk boxes. Ferguson plays it forward. Out to the halfway point. There's one in there by Morton. Not that he knew much about it. Hunt shifts it out to the left to Scott, who plays it straight to Clark, but gets another bite of the cherry. He's back to Ludford. Hunt with it now. Tries to shimmy pass. Clark goes back to Ludford. And then to Pearce, who is a long way from home. Back to Morton, and then to Pearce. Want to get a fair bit on that one, and he does. To Scott, who plays it short. Not his best ball. Comes down the right side. Clark slips in for Fag, rather. Fag puts it across the box. Cut out by Lamont. Helped further by Morton. Ludlow should get this one. Ferns does well. Bustles into Hunt. But it's a foul against him. And advantage taken. Ludlow puts it out on the left. Finds man. Skips away from the Zebras' defence. Looks to cut inside. Oh, picks out Brennan. It was off a defender, so he shouldn't be offside. It came off a Zebras defender last, and it came to Brennan, who raced onto it and finished it. It's a very strange call. For me, that should have been 3-0.
Well, that should be 3-0, Gilly, because if you know the rules, if it's come off a defender, it doesn't matter if he's in an offside position. So Zebras get away with one there. I'm just having a look at this program here, Gilly. I can only imagine that it's your handiwork. Fantastic game day program from you. I've got Game Breaker here, Andy Brennan. I just want to read the listeners and the viewers a quick little excerpt. Andy Brennan, the Game Breaker for South, you've listed, this little spiel ends with has pace to burn, X factor, a killer shot, and a hunger to succeed. Some of your best work there, Gilly, and also Lazinski for Zebras. The powerful forward was the catalyst of their round 9 victory over South Hobart, and cutting his supply will be crucial for South. Great words, Gilly. Great words. Great game day program. That's what the fans want to see. You've just joined us 36 minutes in. South Hobart lead Tilford Zebras 2-0 through a Braden Mann goal. Really nice tight turn at the top of the box to slide home. I think it was in the 18th minute. And then the 26th, Ludlow was the benefactor, I should say, Gilly, of some calamitous passing out of the back from Zebras, and he slotted home for South Hobart. So finds them 2-0 and comfortable in this final at the moment.
Yeah, isn't it? Lime cordial. Walsh throws down the line, comes to Clark, who heads it over the back of Ferns over for a throw-in. Comes to Scott. Along to Morton, gets it moving, finds Undy. He tries to squeeze out a ball looking for Brennan. Well dealt with by Toghill, gets it to Fag. He gets running out on this left-hand side, plays it in front of Whitehall. Lamont should beat him to it. He does not break stride, does Benny Whitehall, and just clean pushes over Lamont and has a fair bit to say to Kim Barker. Has a heap to say, in fact. He's looking at me, is Benny Whitehall's words, but I've got to say, just collected him there.
Just bench pressed him into the ground, and that's what Ben Whitehall's capable of. He can bench press with the best of them.
Kane Pearce with a free kick now for South. Bombs it long down the right. Brennan gets a head onto it, into Undy. It falls over the top of him, and Courtney clears it out to Fag, his lookalike. He heads it forward to, well, coincidentally, or luckily enough rather, to McEwen. He comes forward, puts through Whitehall on the left. They've given him too much respect there, but his cross was a bit poor, and Lewis just sees it out for a throw-in. Toghill comes forward, offering up, but Brennan tracks back well, so Whitehall might have to opt to go the long throw here. 38th minute here at KG5. He goes backwards down the line to Fag. See if he can whip it in. He does. At the back post. Anyone waiting? Ferns gets a head to it. Oh, nearly hits the roof of the netting. That one from Curran Ferns. And we'll have a goal kick now for South Hobart. Chance there for the Zebras. So they're still knocking, but one of their very few attempts at goal for the half. Obviously, 3 on target for South Hobart. Just the 1 on target for the Tilford Zebras. Clearance comes from Kane Pearce in the meantime, and it falls over everyone, including Dwayne Walsh, to Liam Scott. He chips it inboard to Brennan, who slips at the crucial moment, but he might get to this one. Toghill puts in a great tackle, and again, and Brennan's gone down hurt here, and he does a little bit of a tumble turn onto the deck. He's clutching his shin, so the tackle there from Toghill. He looks to be in some strife, actually. He's up and about, so hopefully he'll be okay, Andy Brennan. He's just limping a little bit, but a great tackle nonetheless from Matthias Toghill. Lewis takes the throw in, looking for Undy coming across, but don't know what they were thinking there, though, but he was never going to get to that. Ran out of space. So we've got a goal kick now for the Tilford Zebras after that throw in from Matt Lewis. And as you alluded to pre-game, Paskey, beautiful day. It's going to be a really good evening for this one, particularly if it's forced to extra time. The Zebras can pee a couple back, have a nice little twilight period of extra time. Ball comes forward in the meantime. Whitehall on it again, sends in a cross. A little too deep for Clark at the back post. McEwen's still chasing though. If he can keep it in, it'll be a miracle, and he can't. He slides though, and it's a throw-in now for South. Liam Scott struts over to take it. It's got Morton free centrally, and someone's got to pick him up. Goes short to Hunt. Back to Scott. Clark closing in well, and Ludford clears it out, and he's far as Ferns, and he's bustled over by Curran Ferns. Yeah, you're right, Gilly. Curran Ferns been involved in a lot of bit of rough and tumble early. Lewis with the ball now on the right. He puts it inboard, looking for Undy, who's appealing for a foul there, Undy, from maybe a bit of a push from Russell Courtney, but nothing going. In the meantime, Ferguson has cleared it forward. It's off the back of Alex Zazinski, and it spills out to Liam Scott. Former Newtown Eagles teammates, of course. Liam Scott streams forward again, puts it into Brandon on the right. They could be on here for a third, South Hobart. Ducks and weaves and has a shot, and it's just wide of the left upright. That one just almost crept in inside Matty Ferguson. It's actually come off, obviously off a Zebra's defender, so it's a corner now for South Hobart.
Yeah, questions from the Zebras players. Courtney remonstrating with the Lions person. Just he thought it was offside, but Brennan shaped back inside on his left, shows that he's confident on both feet because he's naturally right-footed. Morton on this corner now, swings it in. Bashed clear by Ferguson, but not convincingly. McEwen then tries to clear, but only as far as Ludlow, and he goes all the way back to South Hobart captain Ludford. Lewis on the ball now. Well, Ludford Mark 2. Brennan shimmy shapes, tries to bring Ludlow into the game. Ferns plays it into White Hot, and he looks to try to find McEwen. He's in one-on-one now with Ludford. Oh, he saw Pearce off his line and tried a little audacious chip, but couldn't get under the ball enough, and Pearce is there to clear away back to Morton. Jim Morton does a lot of work, doesn't he? Covers a lot of ground. He was just up doing taking the corner. It'd be great to get a GPS marker on Morton.
Could do quite a few K, I reckon, as it's played out to Ferns beyond halfway. Back to Lime Cordial. He's worried off it. Goes back to his keeper in Ferguson. Lovely distribution out of defence, looking for fielding. Lewis wins it in the air. He's been rock solid so far. Lewis back the other way through Tog Hill and to Lamont, who have also really enjoyed thus far. Lewis puts it down the right. Tog Hill ping-pongs it back with a header. Looking for fielding, and he bustles into Ludlow. And fielding has a fair bit to say in that collision. Lewis with a throw-in, crossing halfway, down the line, and Tog Hill sees it out. Lewis again with a throw, finds Brennan, holds it up, spins round Fag, looks to beat fielding now, he does. Now he's got Courtney to contend with. Tog Hill provides support, gets enough in to squeeze it out. Brennan still on the ball though, tries to get inside of Courtney. I think it was Courtney that saw that one out, and it'll be a corner kick. Courtney has a long glaring stare at the linesman.
Courtney's saying, why would I let it go out if it was a corner? That's what he's saying, because he had the opportunity to clear it. Hard to tell from here, and from our vantage point. Be great to get some Optus stats available for this league, wouldn't it, Gilly? Really analyse some heat maps, see where players do their best work. Ball's about to come in here from Hunt. It goes back post. Morton's there. He'll clear it all the way back. No, he won't. He looks to try to take on Ferns. Ferns up to the task, and it's out for a South Hobart throw-in. Yeah, I think you'd see a pretty even heat map for Morton, even though he does play most of the time in that midfield role. He's a box-to-box type of player, and then some, actually. Always back in defensively to try to help out his team, and goes beyond the strikers to try to link up and get on the score sheet. Now, how many goals has Morton got this year, Gilly? Do you know off the top of your head? 8 goals from the stat man. Thanks, Ludders. Always on top of things. But ball ricochets to Scott now, puts a ball over the back. Tog Hill there to clear away. Only as far as Morton. And then Courtney with a big boot goes long to Pearce.
Ball that fizzed along the carpet that is KG5. Out to Pearce. Spreads it out on the left to Ludford. Nice ball down the left channel. Picks out Morton. Fielding comes in. Comes out to Fielding. He tries to play it through. Finds McEwen. Bobbles along to Ludford. He races down the left. Long ball into the box. Man looks to meet it with a header, but it's collected away from his head by Ferguson. Ferguson, a big boot out looking for Lazinski. Ludford takes a tumble and collects a little bit of Lazinski, and Lazinski gets a firm header on it, and that one flies out of play.
Good sign of sportsmanship there between Ludford and Lazinski. And Lazinski just helping him up there after the collision. In the meantime, Russell Courtney heads it forward over the top of Braden Mann. Lazinski on the ball now. Clark dishes it into Whitehall. It's on the right now. What can he muster up? Nothing unless Ludford can get in there, but he's slipped over. Whitehall still on it, sends it across at the back post. McEwen's lurking. He heads it back centrally. Spills out to Lazinski. Penalty going, nothing. And Kane Pearce has done very well just to track the run of McEwen. I was watching personally the little bit of a rough and tumble there between Lamont and Lazinski, who had fallen down, and there were shouts for a penalty. In the meantime, the goal kick falls straight out to Braden Mann on the left. He's got a few black and white shirts around him though. He surely can't get out of this one, and he hasn't. Fielding and Walsh combine here. Walsh on the ball now, comes down the right. Ludlow doing very well just to grind out the foul there from Dwayne Walsh on the halfway line.
Too strong from Lime Cordial there. Didn't realise that he had the Cotty's extra strength, Gilly. I'll tell you what, didn't that mess with your mind? When Cotty's brought out their extra strength. My ratios were all out. My ratios that were well learned over years of cordial pouring were just thrown out of whack. As the ball comes in from Undy now, Ferguson empty, equal to the task, goes back out to Toghill. He plays to the feet of Clark. Lewis is there to nip at his heels. And Barker with a noticeably absent whistle there. That looked like it was probably a foul. Barker says halt time for just a moment. I'm going to go over and have a chat to my lines person. She looks like she's just giving some intel. She's just saying, where are we headed for dinner tonight? Yep, Nando's it is. Barker going to go over and have a chat to Fielding. It looks like the lines person's taken exception to what's been said. No, just telling Mann and Fielding just to cut it out. So
it can't be too much longer in this half. There was only one additional minute added on, so a throw-in might just about finish this one up. As Tolkill throws down the line, looking for Fag. He gets a skimmed little header on it, looking for Benny Whitehall, and Lamont wins it away from him. Lamont, very, very good half. Probably the best half I've seen him play since coming to Tasmania. He's been rock solid, and heard midweek that he's back for next year, so he's already stated his intent to come back to South Hobart, which is good. Good continuity for their squad. As Lime Cordial looks to play it down the right, and it's Lamont. There's Ferns to bring it back in. No, he won't, as Barker draws a close to the first half here at KG5 Football Park. A good half for South Hobart. They've got one hand on a spot in the Victory Cup Grand Final. They lead 2-0. The goals coming from Braden Mann and Caleb Ludlow. A good half, you got to say, for Ken Morton's men. They've been the better team, although I don't think Tilford Zebras are out of this one, Paskey.
No, it'll be interesting to see what they do to rejig it. They'll have more chances in this game, that's for sure. But their issue, I guess, is limiting the chances at the other end for South Hobart, because Mann and Brennan and Morton just look sharp, and they're going to continue to create chances. I'm just not sure, given the scoreline now, whether Zebras are going to be able to outscore South Hobart in the next 45.
Well, statistically, mate, one shot on target really speaks the truest story for Tilford Zebras in the first half. They haven't really looked like scoring that. They've had a few shots here and there, most of them off target, but just the one from Adam McEwen earlier in the piece. Yeah, I think that there's a lot of improvement out there for Jed Donahue to try and muster up. You can't put it all down to the fact that Ethan Ingles is out of the side, even though he did score against South Hobart last time, or one of the times they played earlier in the season, halfway through the 3-0 win, of course. But, they've got players out there very capable of mustering up a result, and at the moment, I think they'll just be counting their lucky stars. It's not 3 or 4 at the break, because South have had their chances, and if it was that, it would be game over before at half time. So South Hobart, on the other hand, credit to them, clinical. Nick Morton just rampant. He's everywhere. Caleb Ludlow, obviously a goal scorer. He's been very influential. Hugh Undy getting in pockets of space. Andy Brennan is being Andy Brennan. Just X factor. Just he's everywhere. Brain Mann's lurking. Solid defensive work as well. Matt Lewis has been great. Scott Lamont, just about to say Scott Lamont and Hugh Ludford teaming up very well. It's just been a real clinical performance, and I wouldn't go as far as saying it's been a training run, but anymore, and it might just be, you might be able to classify it as that, because the Zebras are looking more or less, or made to look a shadow of the side that they have been in the past 13 games, which they have been undefeated, Gilly.
Yeah, look, a half they'd probably want to have again, I think, Tilford Zebras, especially given a couple of errors contributing to the goals that they've conceded. So, but it's not all gone. They've just got to shuffle the deck a little bit, try and change things up. I don't think Andy Clark out wide is working for them. It's a strange thing to say, but I'd almost opt for 2 up top and just see if you can get Benny Whitehall working off McEwen. Maybe just rejig the setup and see what you can do. And if push comes to shove late on in the game, put another one up there. Chuck Walshy up as well and play 4 up top. The fact is, in this Victory Cup competition, there's no tomorrow for the loser, so they may as well roll the dice.
Yeah, they need to. I wouldn't think that they would do it, or Jed Donahue would opt to do that straight away. But I mean, I'll just quickly look at who they've got on the bench. But while I do that, Gilly, scenarios: South Hobart versus Northern Rangers. Rangers obviously one of the 2 teams to beat South Hobart this season. A 3-1 win back in round 3, was it? I think it was. Obviously, Curran Ferns, who was playing for South Hobart then, he was dismissed. So they were down to 10 men, South Hobart. I'm not saying don't take that away from the Rangers. They can beat them. But in saying that, the Rangers went down to 10 men the next time they met. South Hobart went down to 10 men the next time they met. Completely different stories. 6-1 winners were South Hobart on that day, and they played the game with 10 men from the 29th minute, I think it was, off the top of my head, but it was around a half-hour mark. So it was a similar, exactly the same scenario, 2 completely polarising results. Should it be the Zebras, if they muster up some kind of miracle today? They've also done the deed on the Northern Rangers too. So you have to think the Rangers are on the back foot as underdogs next week, regardless of who they play. 2 4-0 wins for the Zebras against them and a 2-2 draw recently. So they're going to struggle either way. But if today's performance is anything to go by, where they were just for at least 2/3 of the game in control, creative, they caused Olympia's normally solid defence of Jake Vandermeer and Alex Hines all kinds of problems. Vandermeer was pretty good for the most part, but they were caught out wide. So I'm just sort of dribbling on a little bit here, but in terms of substitutes for the Zebras, which is what I was alluding to before, Nick McDonald was one that was alluded to come on the wing as an option to replace Ethan Ingles. So it is same kind of player as Ethan, a pocket rocket kind of thing. He can operate quite fast, good skills, get in behind defenders. Jordan Muller was also surprisingly another option. He was a defender at the NTC program, can play in a holding midfield role. The other, Nathan Pitchford, you could chuck him up front if you wanted. I know he's played. It isn't, because he has played up there for Newtown Eagles in the past. And Marchioli, obviously not a striker. So they're sort of starved, the Zebras. They've got to try and muster something up somewhere.
The option for me, the obvious option, even the likes of Marchioli or a Muller on in midfield, and then you put McEwen up top and make it a front 3 and play him out wide on one side. That is an option, but to be fair, you wouldn't want to take McEwen away from 10. He's been good in 10 for the last 13 weeks. He had a really lone streak for some point of the season. where he was playing out wide, it's not suited to him. I think you either play him up front in a front two, or have him in behind, and that's where he's operated recently, and he's looked really good. So if they do opt to reshuffle it and have two up top, I don't know, maybe Whitehall into midfield and then chuck those two up top. It'll be interesting to see what happens, but of course we're only really speculating here. We don't know. They could come out with the same lineup and rocket away 2 goals in the first 5 minutes.
Very true, very true. Speculation is always good fun, just to try and get a little bit of Matthew Richardson-like analysis in. We don't mind a bit of that on Victory League Radio, or Victory Cup Radio. Is that what I think we could call it that now? But the other, obviously, as I just said, the other option is bringing Dwayne Walsh up front. That was something we talked about pre-game, and drop Andy Clark back into fullback. So that's another option. Walsh, a naturally born striker. He's played the Golden Boot in the socials last year. No, it's the socials, but the league Golden Boot there. He's been a profoundly good goal scorer for the Zebras in the past in the Southern Premier League. And he's been menacing down the right when he's created two good chances. There was a nice cross there, no one got to it. Nice little cutback as well, no one got to that one. So, I mean, if Jed Donahue wants to risk that, Andy Clark at fullback, and he'll be playing on the likes of Braden Mann, Andy Brendan when they switch around, Nick Morton probably coming down there, Liam Scott. So, I know Clark can play that role. It's just they're 2-0 down. I mean, it's a dangerous lead, but not for South Hobart. It's going to be very difficult for them. I think we can both agree on that. As starting to cool down here at KG5, the sun is disappearing behind the grandstand at a very quick rate. The lights are on. Well, they have been on for some time, surprisingly, and darkness is sort of filling the ground. So it's going to get colder, but that's another point. I wonder. Obviously, when you have the AstroTurf pitch, Gilly, the heat obviously impacts on the rubber, and has some players say you can feel it through the bottom of your boots. Does it have that much of an impact when it cools like this? I'm not too sure.
I think if it gets to the point where it cools and there's a bit of dew on it, actually, is conducive to a good game in terms of it really is slick off the pitch and bounces off nicely. But I mean, in most cases, the surface, no matter the conditions, is pretty similar here at KG5. That's the beauty of a synthetic pitch. I mean, you can have rain and hail, and it won't be that much different to 25 degrees. So it's the beauty of it. We aren't too far from resumption here at KG5 Football Park. The first half belonged to South Hobart. Goals coming through Braden Mann and Caleb Ludlow, and Tilford Zebras have it all to do in this second half, and it looks like Marcello Marchioli might be injected into the contest, as you gesture to me, Romeo Frediani, the Zebras assistant, having a chat to him, and we've seen Marchioli dispose of the bib. Marchioli, not a season he would have set out to have had when he crossed to the Zebras. He would have had his sights set on big things at the Zebras. Just hasn't really happened for him. He had the holiday, and it was a bit of a setback for him. He struggled to get back into the starting lineup, and in that time they were firing. There was no reason to change. But even in the early part, probably didn't have the impact he's had at Kingborough Lions in recent years. He used to be the main man, the barometer for the Lions, and play with a lot of heart and got the job done for them. Hopefully, for the Zebras' sake, in this second half, he can have a bit of an impact.
Yeah, I don't know if he's the right man to be bringing on. I think, as I said earlier in the broadcast, Gilly, Henry Fagg's he's in and out of the game a lot of the time. A great player. Don't get me wrong, he's been a real good player for the Zebras. He can play in a lot of different positions, but just at times he's allowed. He's not tracking back enough. It just seems the whole midfield, there's not too much, overly a large amount of work rate, and the Zebras' defence are really strained at the moment. But he might be an option to bring on for Henry Fagg, maybe Curran Ferns if Jed Donahue's feeling bold. But I don't think that's their strengths are out wide, and they've got to try and find someone who can capitalise on that. That's why Ked Morton has opted to put 4 at the back rather than 3, because the Zebras have been firing in a 13-game undefeated run over 2 months' worth of just attacking with width and just the potency down there, and it's been nullified. They've attempted to get the ball in the middle of the park and turn it out wide, but against the quality of South Hobart, they haven't been able to do that like the rate they're normally used to. They have to be faster at it, so it's very difficult. But just quickly, before we go on, we'll keep continuing on this analysis. NPL final, or final series, elimination final in 2 weeks. South Melbourne Hellers obviously confirmed as VPL premiers on Wednesday night. Oakley Cannons lost their game 1-0 to Melbourne Knights. Probably not the game that the way that South Melbourne would have wanted to win it. They probably wouldn't want to win a game, but they've got the VPL premiership, one of the most successful clubs in Australia. They will be coming down to Darcy Street to play South Hobart, the Victory League premiers, on the weekend of the 20th. So it should be the Saturday. I would say it's Saturday at 1:30. We've got the time confirmed. So 1:30 p.m. at Darcy Street. Get along to that one. It'll be fantastic. And if we can see an upset like we saw of South Hobart handing to Campbelltown City last year, it'd be fantastic. But historically, recently, I think it was 2011, they played South Melbourne in a practice match with the likes of Johnny Lowe, Bart Beecroft, Daniel Brown in the squad. The team that went 63 games undefeated for over two and a half seasons. South Hobart got done 5-0 or 5-1, I think it was, at Darcy Street. So obviously a lot of time has passed since then, 3 years to be exact. But it's going to be a real test, and I implore everyone to every football fan, regardless of your allegiances, to get along to that one. It'll be fantastic to see. I haven't seen South Melbourne play personally for quite some time. I remember they came down here before that. I can't quite remember who they played, but they're a fantastic side, and obviously I don't think they're in action in the FFA Cup. I can't quite recall, but
it's quite funny. Melbourne Knights did them a favour the other night, but they're actually the team that saw them miss out on the FFA Cup, and they were just shattered about that. So make no bones about it, Ludders. South Melbourne will be out to prove a point in the NPL final series, because they see themselves as they are a very, very big club, and they want to test themselves against the best. So I think South Melbourne's going to be a pretty tough task for Ken Morton's men. But on the showing of the first 45 here at KG5 Football Park, they're faring pretty well at the moment, preparing well for that clash in a couple of weeks, and are just 45 minutes away from booking a grand final, Victory Cup grand final spot against the Northern Rangers. Of course, they won it last year, Ludders. It took a while. It took 2 extra time against Devonport. Devonport really pressed them. They were down. It looked like Devonport were going to take the Victory Cup, but South Hobart just found the goals when they needed to, which always seems to be the case, and they took the chocolates on that occasion. They'll have another Northern opponent this year, and it'll be the Rangers. And I'm really looking forward to it. Of course, I shouldn't say they will, because Zebras are still in the contest and there's 45 minutes away, but speculating, if things stay the way they are, it'll be South Hobart versus Rangers, and I think Rangers will go in with a sneaky chance.
Yeah, they will never discount them, mate. Based on their performances today, I will hold them in the highest of esteems going into that match. And you don't know what can happen in a final. Someone could completely lose their head. They could get a couple of send-offs. South Hobart, you can't really fortune tell based on that. The teams are back out into the field to after a lengthy halftime break. I don't know if it's just gone really slow here.
George's beats, mate. You weren't a fan of them.
Yeah, the music is it's Obar like. It's not bad, but it's not great. Great new speakers here at KG5. It will say, obviously, the old ones blew earlier in the season, quite comically. So great new speakers, great quality. Yeah, Mark Yoli, coming on for Andy Clark at half time. So Chris Hunt offers Cass. Here we go. So Rexy Hunt didn't have too much of an impact other than the first 5 to 10 minutes. Connor Cass just to inject a little bit of explosive play down the left wing with Dwayne Walsh obviously at right back. He'll be marking him, so he'd probably be, if you Jed Donahue, you probably wouldn't look to move Dwayne Walsh up forward, because now they've taken Andy Clark. He's taken Andy Clark off. We are underway here for the second half. And Adam McEwen now dishes into Fag, receives the 1-2. McEwen down the line looking for Ferns, intercepted by Lewis. Spills out again to Ferns. He gets a touch out to Fag. They're on here, the Zebras. McEwen on the ball down the left. Cuts inside. Tries to skip around diving there, Scott Lamont, who manages to just weasel out to Lewis. Brennan on the ball now to Ludlow. Oh, great little bit of play there, interplay there from South Hobart. The ball comes out looking for Cass. Walsh intercepts it. He comes forward centrally. Tries to get through everyone. He still has it, Dwayne Walsh. He tries to nutmeg Liam Scott, and it's come off him to Ben Whitehall on the right. Scott goes down on one knee trying to jockey him, and Whitehall gets the cross in. Lazinski's lurking. McEwen tries to get a shot away, and Ludlow's done very well there just to clear it out. Brennan just it into Ludlow, bombs it long, looking for Undy. Courtney gets a header straight up into the air. McEwen touches it down to Marchioli, his first touch since coming on. And, there's Tolkiel back to Courtney, dishes it back out to Marchioli. 1-2 between the pair, and Courtney's pass is nearly intercepted by Braden Mann. Ferguson on it now, gives it out to Fielding on the right. He goes centrally to Fag. Bit more involvement from Fag in the opening minute and a half. Puts it into Ferns in the centre circle. He switches it out on the left to McEwen. He cuts inside, predictably, I must say, mate, and Lewis is too quick for that one. But Tolkiel's on it again, puts it centrally, and Scott Lamont there, just a little bit of class, just leaves it for Kane Pearce. And that's what South Hobart are all about.
Interesting change up here. Looks like McEwen's back up front as a front three, but he is getting involved quite a bit back up the park as the ball comes down the left. Walsh should deal with this one. He doesn't. Man on the ball now. He'll have it from the byline. Lon Cordial Walsh works back and retrieves the ball and hoofs it up the park. Looking for Whitehall. Off the back of Scott it goes to Lazinski and then to Fag. He chips it along out in front of Whitehall. Dealt with well by Scott. Scott looks to play it down the line. It comes off Lazinski and out of play. So a throw-in for South Hobart. Yeah, McEwen not sitting very deep. He's getting involved with the midfield still. It's an inch, yeah. As it comes to Marchioli, the substitute, gets along to McEwen. Not his best pass, comes straight to Ludlow, who feeds Pearce. Plays along to Lewis. Lewis takes a touch and looks to run onto it. Does well. Breezes past McEwen. Nice bit of work there from Matt Lewis. Crosses halfway. Along to Brennan. He bodies up on Tolkiel and he's in a zebra sandwich. Marchioli and Tolkiel collide with Brennan, and Brennan down on all fours, and Kim Barker pulls that one up, so it'll be a free kick for South Hobart as they look to go down the right. So Lazinski, but McEwen a long way from a full on. Yeah, I don't know. He's playing on the wing, but he's not very far up, if you know what I mean. As it's played along to Lewis to Lamont, just gets it away from Lazinski, and then to Ludlow, back to Lewis. Down the right he goes. Nice ball, picks out Mann. Mann can't control it that well. Marchioli gets it on the boot. Along to Whitehall, over his head to Scott. Scott out in front of Cass, the substitute. What can he do? The Cass man. Goes one way, goes another. From the byline, he looked to cross it up. No, he doesn't. A little dink to beat Walsh. Walsh recovers really well. Looks to handball it in the box, to be honest. Comes out. Ludlow smashed into by Walsh. They've still got the ball, South Hobart. Advantage paid by Barker, but there wasn't a lot of it as Undy was getting bustled into by the Zebras, and it'll be a free kick for South Hobart as Kim Barker has a bit to say to Ben Whitehall.
Funnily enough, the Zebras would probably prefer the first foul just to be given because it's on more of an angle. Now they're where they are at the moment. Braden Mann can probably place this one a little better. He doesn't have to curl it as much. It's more central ever so slightly, but I thought it was a little bit further over than that one. Maybe he's paid the one further back originally, but Braden Mann nonetheless standing over this one. We're in the 50th minute here at KG5. And Hugh Ludford, the captain's strutting up to take this one. Mann hits it direct, and it's just wide of the left upright. So not his best work, Braden Mann. But we have a goal kick now for the Tilford Zebras. Matt Ferguson, obviously a former South Hobart player himself, in goals for the Zebras now. Victory Cup winner last year, so he'd be hoping that his attackers can try and muster something up in the last 40 minutes of this one. Matt Lewis on it now, dishes it into Mann. Andy Brennan on it, looks for Undy, who's playing very high up the park today. Marchioli on it, puts it into Courtney. McEwen now out wide to Tog Hill. He looks to switch it out. Marchioli on the ball in the centre circle now. And his pass is an absolute stinker straight into Liam Scott. Undy on it now into Morton. He switches it out wide. And Braden Mann is onside here. Did keep a very good line, did Braden Mann. Ludlow central, and it's gone across the goal. And Josh Fielding, with all his class, has just left that one to roll. Walsh clears it out. Cass on the ball now. Morton. South Hobart still looking dangerous in the opening stages. And Scott's pass is intercepted by McEwen. Marchioli on the ball now for the Zebras. Goes back to Walsh. He's looking out wide for Whitehall. He just flicks it past Liam Scott. McEwen on the ball now. Puts it in to Whitehall. Coming down the right. Lamont's there. Bit of confusion between him and Kane Pearce. Scott Lamont. And it's out for a Zebras throwing off Pearce. He did actually hit his boss in Ken Morton there on the sideline too. In the meantime, we've got a foul for the Tilford Zebras. So now, set play. Ben Whitehall, you'd think, would be the man to step over and take this one. All the tall timbers going forward. Russell Courtney. And the small fry sort of just hold back a little bit. Courtney just lurking around the back post. He'd been the man they want to hit. Other ones, obviously, Lazinski and Henry Fagg. So if they're ever to score the Zebras, it's probably during set plays, though, because they don't look like scoring in open play. Whitehall bombs into the back post. Fagg gets a head to it over the top of nothing. I couldn't say the crossbar there because it wasn't really, but Newlands goal kick for now for South Hobart. Kane Pearce. He's got Ludford out. He goes short to Ludford on the left. Scott on the touchline. He opts to go down the line. I think he called out Connor Cass there, but it's overshot him. Fielding into Fagg. Cass on it now, the substitute. Dishes it back to Morton. He streams forward, puts it into Brennan. They're on here, South Hobart. Can he fire it away? And Courtney's just got there back there very well. And other than the first goal, he's kept his side in it for the most part. Just tracking back there very well on Andy Brennan, who was just pinpoint perfect angles for a shot on target there, if not for Courtney. So we have a corner now. Nick Morton standing over this one. Sends it in the back post. Who's lurking there? Braden Mann. And Matty Ferguson just taps it. It bounced off the top of the crossbar, and Ferguson just palmed it back out for another corner for South Hobart. Cass struts over to take this one.
Crowded box, this one. A lot of Zebras back. So they're just Lazinski that's not inside this box for the Zebras. Ludford joins the rest of the South Hobart crew in the box. It's taken short by Cass. A horrible corner. Marchioli plays out to great effect. Finds the feet of Lazinski. He feeds to McEwen. A heavy touch lets in Ludlow. It sprays out. Scott helps it forward down the left, looking for Brennan. Bounces away from Brennan, out of play for a throw-in. As Lime Cordial puts it down the line to Fagg. Coughs it straight up to South Hobart. Scott through to the bullseye. Finds Undy. Undy through to Mann. He looks to turn with it. Just glides past his boot. Whitehall, a long way from home, smashes it forward. Looking for Lazinski. He chests down. They collide for it. A few of them. Ludlow comes out with a ball. Gets it through to Mann. He turns it into the centre. Cut off by Marchioli to Courtney. Tries to get it by a couple. Undy on it now. Tries to feed through to Cass. Well blocked by Tog Hill. Then to Fielding. Dinks it just out in front of Marchioli, and then to Ferns. And then to McEwen, who puts a ball out in front of Marchioli, asking a bit of the substitute. And Lamont sees it clear and out for a throw-in. Marchioli had a bit to do since coming onto the ground. He's been fairly involved as it's a throw-in for Tog Hill. Finds the skipper in Fagg. Through to McEwen. He's got strong pressure coming from Lewis. Marchioli does well to steal it off Undy. And then it's played back from Tog Hill to Courtney. Into Fielding. Then with Walsh. Lime Cordial. Plays it forward into the box. Ferns. Ferns almost met it. There was no one with him. There was no defender with him. And he's backing back into it. And in the end, he almost looked to collect it with his arm. It was a strange bit of play, but Ferns could have quite easily found himself in a position to peg one back there.
That's due to probably a lack of communication. He had time just to touch it down, maybe just flick it up over the top of oncoming Kane Pearce, but not to be. I think he just got his wires crossed there. I don't know. I don't even think he knew what he wanted to do. Throwing comes from Walsh. Marchioli on it now. Fires it straight into Kim Barker, the referee, and he gets it back, does Marchioli. Good work rate from him. McEwen now goes back to Toghill on the left. Eastrom's forward, just over the halfway line, tries to get around Morton. He's forced out for a South Hobart throw-in, and just the work rate of Nick Morton there, earning them another spell of possession. South Hobart, Lamont on the ball. Goes forward and centrally to Ludlow. He switches it out to Scott on the left, and Whitehall's there. Foul in the meantime, and didn't quite see it's following the play.
Fag collected Ludlow late, it was clear foul.
Yeah, so foul there for South Hobart. Scotty Lamont standing over this one for South. And you have to think now we're in the 57th here at KG5, so time is running out now. The Zebras still don't really look like scoring, and if they do, I'll definitely call it a miracle because South are just too clinical. I don't know if Zebras are being intimidated going forward. It's just, I don't know if they just seem flat a lot of the time. Liam Scott with a throw in now, very far forward on the left. I think he was looking for the run of Cass there, but Fielding was up to that one. He clears it down the line. It's going to spill out to Ludlow here. He goes back to Ludford, his captain. Takes a touch, just rolls it in front of him and sends it back down the left to Scott, whose touch is letting him down. He's sort of shinned it there, and he's lucky enough just to earn a Zebras throw in. But I think that's what the Zebras probably would have preferred rather than a goal kick anyway. Undy now. Tussles with Dwayne Walsh, and Whitehall tries to touch it backwards, but Undy regains possession. Nice little turn and flick there from Liam Scott to Brendan. He fires a shot away, curling, and that one's just over the crossbar by about 2 metres. But not a bad effort from Andy Brennan. Ambitious with a lot of Zebra shirts around him. I think that pulling the trigger was probably his best option. So Ferguson with the goal kick here, taking his time they don't really have. Bombs it long. And Ferns manhandles, I can't quite tell who it was, Nick Morton in the end, just hand across or arm across the chest. Lewis takes the free kick quickly, goes out to Ludlow, switches it out to Cass on the left. He streams forward, dishes it into Mann, who's made a little bit of a run himself. Tries to get around Fielding, he does, and Fielding doesn't track back. I don't know what he's thinking, and Mann has a similar attempted shot to his strike partner Andy Brennan, and it's out for a throw-in on the other side. Out curled, out for another throw-in. But he was smiling, so good to see there from Braden Mann. Cass on the ball now on the edge of 18, and Fag gets a tackle in. Spills out to Morton, he puts it into Brennan. It's just relentless pressure here from South Hobart on the Zebras' defence. The back four will be absolutely shagged at the end of this one. Ferns coming down the left now. A little bit of respite for the Zebras' defensive half. It spills out to McEwen here. Lamont overcommits. On the left, though, he's very wide. Can he get the cross in? And Lamont's worked back very well just to see that one out for a corner. I think he felt that he probably owed his defenders that. He overcommitted, similar to Russell Courtney before earlier in the game to let in Braden Mann. So we'll have a corner now for the Tilford Zebras. From the far end, opposing the grandstand. Much easier to describe now, considering we have a live broadcast, Gilly, rather than just over the radio. Signalling for the back post is Ben Whitehall. It's gone more centrally than anything, and it's a attempted header from Russell Courtney. It's mopped up comfortably by Kane Pearce. He'll just hold this one up and wait for his charges just to stream forward. Instead he opts to go, rolls it out to Liam Scott. He comes down the line. Look how toned Liam Scott is going forward. His physique is just phenomenal.
You having a laugh? As Mann cuts inside, plays it out to the right, finds Morton. A lot of time and space for Morton. He plays it early. Ooh, almost worries Ferguson, but goes over his head, and the top netting bounces off the top netting and out of play. So 60th minute here at KG5 Football Park. Not much has changed from half time. South Hobart still lead 2-0 over the Tilford Zebras. Ferguson plays short to Fag. Streams forward. Taking his time on it. Nice ball out. Finds Toghill. He plays it first time. Lewis gets in. Tog Hill wins back. Of course, former teammates collide there. As Fag plays it back to Tog Hill. Tries a few step overs. Lewis wise to it. Gets a boot in. Back to Tog Hill though. Gets it to Ferns. Plays through to McEwen. McEwen keeps it moving for Tog Hill. He's kept running down that left hand side. Just seen away from him by Lamont. Comes to Brennan, who smashes the ball down the right. And Courtney sends it back to Ferguson. 1-2 between Courtney and Ferguson as Courtney takes his time. Gets by a couple. Lovely stuff from the former Welsh Premier League defender. Gets by a couple, receives it back from his skipper, and then gets along to Ferns, who is a key player for the Zebras. He overshoots this ball and goes into the feet of Pearce. Pearce goes forward to Morton, who spins with it. Goes out wide to Lewis. Along the carpet he goes. Cut off by Tog Hill. And then to Fag, who miscues his ball. Cut off by Morton. Gets it the other way. Finds Man. Man feeds out on the left to Cass. What can Cass do here? He's got Lime, Cordy or Walsh to deal with. Plays it into the box. Courtney does well. Gets back and clears. Courtney barks at his keeper. That's a bit to say, does Russell Courtney. He's given Ferguson a fair earful there, as it looks like South Hobart will make a change in the 62nd minute. Whitehall enters the book, a slice of cheese. And Matt Lewis is put on ice. And on comes Jaden Hay. Matt Lewis, a very, very good 62 minutes.
Yeah, so Matt Lewis off Jaden Hay. Yeah, you'd have to think so. Precaution. Just protecting. He was maybe limping a little bit, but maybe a bit of soreness. Jaden Hay coming on. He was rumoured to be unavailable due to work commitments for this clash, but obviously managed to get over that one. Get it out of that one rather. Liam Scott sends in the free kick, and Ferguson claims that one comfortably and throws it out to Tog Hill. Puts it into Ferns. He dishes that back out. 1-2 to Tog Hill into Fag. Nice little 1-2 there. Ferns on it. Puts it into Lazinski. He tries to put down McEwen on the left. It's intercepted very well by Caleb Ludlow. He comes forward. A lot of Zebra shirts around him. He tries to put in Brennan, but fielding's done very well. Just seed out for a throw-in for South, and it just seems like the game is it's just not really ebbing and flowing. It's sort of just going through the motions. Just under half an hour. You'd have to think half an hour with added time on. What are your thoughts on that, Kelly?
As the light fades, so do the hopes of the Tilford Zebras. As Undy looks to put it out on the right, two-man cut off by Tog Hill, gets it the other way to Ferns. Ferns finds Whitehall well. Whitehall looks to skip by one and run it down this right side, but Ludlow's there to see it out. Looks a bit proppy, does Ludlow, as Whitehall throws forward. Lazinski heads into the centre. Hay does well, clears out to Brennan. A sloppy header from Brennan gives it to Lime Cordial Walsh to Ferns, who does well just to manage to almost get to Lazinski, if not for Morton, who gets a boot in. Comes to Cass, down the left he goes, looking for Brennan. Walsh picks it up nicely, plays along. Finds Whitehall, cut off by Scott. Comes along to Morton, who goes one way and then another, and beats Benny Whitehall, and Whitehall bumps into him. Whitehall is a silly, silly man. He's on a slice of cheese. He's could be in a bit of trouble if he's not careful, Whitehall, as it's played out on the right from Brennan to Hay. Good ball from Hay. What a goal, South Hobart! Braden Mann plays it into the top right. Beautiful work, Braden Mann. Beautiful cross. South Hobart skip away to a 3-0 lead, and they are very, very close to booking themselves a Victory Cup Grand Final spot. Wonderful play. Beautiful ball from Jaden Hay. It was his second touch, and he played it into Man at the back post, who volleyed it, and it just eluded the gloves of Ferguson and went into the top right. Terrific stuff from South Hobart. Really good team goal.
Yeah, just a little bit of the triangle action previously. Obviously, if you're watching it on the live broadcast, a triangle interplay between, I think it was Brennan, Ludlow and Scott. I can't quite recall. Just the triangle work, switches it out, back out to Jaden Hay, sends in a cross, and Braden Mann just lurking 6 yards out, or 6 to 7 yards out, just right-footed volley over the top, leaning back, and just brilliant from this angle. Fantastic goal for South Hobart, and that's their place booked in my book. In the meantime, Nick McDonald has come on the park for the Tilford Zebras. I think Ben Whitehall has come off, yeah. Ben Whitehall has been pulled from the squad. He's obviously on a yellow card, so don't want to go down any further. And that change probably should have been made, not so much Ben Whitehall, but that change probably should have been made earlier, Gilly, because at the moment you're making an attacking change where you're 3-0 down. It should have been made when they were 2-0 down, so that was quite surprising. In the meantime, Curran Ferns is offside. He's very frustrated at that call, but I think it was pretty clear cut, and he's going to get a slice of cheese for remonstrating with Lauren. No, not Curran Ferns. No, it's his first of the day, and just for remonstrating with Lauren Hargraves, the lineswoman, on the right-hand side. A bit of frustration creeping in for the Zebras now, so if it hadn't already. But they've been very. It's effectively quite similar to that of the La Castellia Cup final, I'd have to say. Just clinical from South Hobart. I think they were probably better in that game from memory, but it's quite similar, and we're in the 67th, so there's still time for a fourth. They could really embarrass the Zebras at the moment, but I have to say it's been one-sided. Would you have to agree?
Yeah, it has, as Ludlow has the ball, puts it out on the right, finds Hay. His second touch was a goal, and what will his third one bring? Puts it to Mann. Oh, Mann mishits this one and bobbles up on him. Comes out to Lazinski, plays through to McEwen. Zebras might be on here as he puts it out in front of Ferns. Comes to Pearce, lobs it over to Ferns, finds Lamont, and then to Ludford, who puts it out to Scott. I think in general play, Zebras haven't been too bad, but they just haven't created that many chances that have threatened Kane Pearce and his defence. And I think South Hobart have kept piling on the pressure. And although they're a very good defence, the Zebras, there's only so much you can take before you're breached.
Yeah, I think they have struggled with their attacking momentum defensively. I know they've conceded 3, but they've just had to deal with copious amounts of pressure from South Hobart. And in the middle of the park, they're getting plenty of it. And it's just going forward. They just seem reluctant and shaky going forward. And that is in part credit. Take nothing away from South Hobart. That is definitely due to their presence in their back four. In the meantime, Brennan comes forward again on the right-hand side. He sends in a ball. Cass is lurking. It spills up to Fag and puts it into Marchioli. He goes forward. Dishes it into Lazinski. Looks to put it back to Nick McDonald, but he wasn't there. And Henry Fag is fouled for just... That wasn't a foul. That was just for a little bit of a hip and shoulder with Undy. I think Barker's ruled in Undy's favour simply because the ball wasn't anywhere near them.
The ball wasn't quite there, but I thought it was just good body work from Henry Fag. I think he's a bit stiff on that occasion as it's played to Ludlow and then back to Scott. Scott plays through, finds Mann. And he's buzzing around like a blowfly. He puts it out on the left to Cass. He looks to skip by McDonald. McDonald does well to see it out. So he'll be throwing for Zebras. Connor Cass to bring it in. Throwing comes in, finds Scott, dishes back to Cass and then back to Scott. Scott along to Ludlow, holds it up a little, across to the back post, looking for Brennan. Well collected by Ferguson, rolls out to Tolkill. They do still have 20-odd minutes, the Zebras. Stranger things have happened, but geez, they've got to get going as Morton plays through. Finds Mann, back to Morton. The Mort Hog can't get it through Fag. Mann helps him out, does well, bustles into Marcello. He collects the ball out to Cass. He's a dribbler, is Cass. He'll try his dribbling game. Oh! Flashes off an ambitious shot from the top of the box, and this one fizzes wide of goal.
The way it's going, mate, it's going to be a replay of the third-place playoff of last season. Tilford Zebras versus Olympia. You're not having the third place this year? Oh, I thought we were having that. Never mind. Good to know. Good to know. Obviously, I think they shared the prize money last year, so they just... So it was really redundant just to have it. In the meantime, Cass is capitalising the ball pass from Josh Fielding. He comes forward, puts it in the man, attempted 1-2, and Cass goes down lightly there. And Morton gets the ball off Fielding, but it's spilled out to Marchioli, puts it into Ferns. In the meantime, he's bundled over Ludlow. Gives him a bit afterwards as well. Normally quite mild-mannered there, Marchioli. In the meantime, Ferns comes forward, and his touch is again very heavy. And it's just seen out for a goal kick for South Hobart. get a little bit fiery. I think Kim Barker will want to put his foot down on this if it gets any worse in the because there's still 20 minutes to go, Gilly.
Zebra's looking very frustrated out there as the ball comes out on the right. Brennan streams into the centre and then dinks out on the far side for Hay, who's been dangerous since coming on. This ball not so. A flat one straight to Courtney. Gets it to McEwen. Feeds forward to Ferns, who turns it back out to Courtney, who's kept running. As he got confused which end he's meant to be at. He's played it forward, find Lazinski to McDonald. And in the end, McDonald spilled this one out of play for a goal kick. Probably shows where the game's at, that Russell Courtney feels the need to go on a bit of a marauding run down the left, because it's swiftly becoming very, very unlikely that Tilford Zebras can get back into this contest. We've got probably 20 minutes to tick. They're 3-0 down. Very, very unlikely that the Zebras could level this one. Pearce over it. Plays it out, looking for Scott. Scott in the air with McDonald. Wins it well. Down. Lime, Cordial, Walsh puts it back the other way only to Ludford. Ludford puts a ball forward. Finds the chest of Undy. He's shoved aside by Fielding. Yet again, I think it wasn't the fiercest challenge I've ever seen, but a free kick nonetheless to be taken by Mann. He fakes a short, quick ball. Plays it short in the end to Brennan. Brennan looks to get by Fielding. Fielding with a timely boot sees it out of play. Scott throws in. Finds Brennan. Looks to get by a couple. Just Brennan. Doesn't happen for him. Ferns picks it up. Gives and goes. Goes to McDonald. Then to Fag beyond halfway. Puts it out on the left to McEwen. He'll look to beat Hay here. Gets it to Lazinski at the top of the box. He bounces it ahead of McEwen and well collected by Pearce. Throws out to Andy Brennan, who was too busy having a conversation with his bench. Dings inside of McDonald. Plays it down the left as Brennan. It's a good ball. Mann does well to keep it in. Mann has Walsh for company. Plays it back. Finds Cass. Cass looks to skip by Fielding and bustles into Fielding, collects him, so it'll be a free kick for the Zebras. Fielding plays this one. Plays it forward. Only to Lamont. No real target there for the Zebras. Through to Morton and then back to the South Hobart defence. So they regroup. Out on the right they go, looking for Cass. Cut off well by Courtney. Into the centre, Toghill looks. Morton gets a boot in. Comes out to Marchioli. He puts it forward to McDonald. Looks inside. No one there yet again, and Lamont mops up. Plays it out. It was an interesting looking ball, but it's found Brennan well. Cuts inside of McDonald. He's got Marchioli to contend with. Instead, he opts to go with an early shot. And it's chested down by Ferguson and then helped on its way as Liam Scott, with a nice little bit of work, wins it in there with a contest with Lazinski, and they're both having a chuckle about that one. As it comes down, oh man, weasels his way through a couple. At the top of the box, he has a shot, and it's deflected wide for a corner.
Yeah, they had a little bit of a chuckle at that one, the former Newtown Eagles teammates, Liam Scott and Albie Lazinski. Andy Brennan's coming to the sideline there. His boot might have come apart. He was signalling to Jimmy Hortle there, the fourth official, that something was amiss. And maybe the stud came off, or the sole of the boot. His little faulty, so he's going to have a mismatched pair of boots. One a lot more fancier than the other. Not too sure whose it is, but he better not break it unless it's his own. I doubt that though. Because one is definitely a lot in a bit of better shape than the other. In the meantime, the corner's come in short. Nick Morton on it now. Goes into Undy inboard. Yeah, it looks bizarre if you're seeing this. Don't know if our cameraman's got it on Andy Brennan at the moment, but it's like his socks merge into the boots. Undy comes down the right, looks to put in a cross, and Dwayne Walsh has just slid in there to see it out for another corner. Cotty's cordial, lime green cordial. It looks fantastic, Dwayne Walsh. So Connor Cass with this corner for South Hobart in the we're just ticking over to the 76th minute now. Marchioli gets the header clear, falls out to McEwen. He goes back to Fag. Down the line now to Ferns, who just flicks it deftly into McEwen. 1-2 between the pair, and Ferns is away. Down the left. In the meantime, McEwen is down. He's gotten to his feet, though, and receives this pass from Curran Ferns. McEwen dishes it out to Nick McDonald. Tries to anticipate it, but Liam Scott gets there, and Jed Donahue shakes his head at that. Liam Scott streams forward, despite pressure from everywhere. And the crowd laughs a little bit as he skips around a few Zebras players there, and Ferguson comes out to receive that one there. He's done pretty well there, Matty Ferguson, just to receive that with Andy Brennan closing in. Toghill on the ball now, puts it back inboard to Josh Fielding. Fag now, back to Courtney's lookalike. He goes down the line to McDonald, see if he can get around Caleb Ludlow this time. He cannot, and lays in a brutal tackle on Cass, but nothing happened there. Brennan in the meantime is through. He skips around Ferguson, who's come out of goal, and lucky Josh Fielding was there just to cut out the cutback to Braden Mann. They are lurking for a fourth, South Hobart, and you'd have to feel with 15 or so minutes left, they are probably going to get it. Fag with the ball now in the centre circle. Marchioli down to Toghill on the left. He stops, puts his foot on it, goes back to Marchioli. He comes forward, a little bit of space, but a lot of orange shirts behind the ball. He puts it out to McDonald. He heads it down to Dwayne Walsh, who attempts to get a cross in, and it's cleared out for a corner by Hugh Ludford. One of the rare attacking set plays for Tilford Zebras in this half. They've had a few free kicks, a couple of corners. There's been very in and out for the Zebras, and as I said earlier in the broadcast, Gillia, these were the periods of time where, well, these were the players where they could score off, but I think they do have a sub. Yeah, it's got one more up their sleeve. Ball comes in from Henry Fag. It's not a great one. It's cleared out by Nick Morton for a throw-in now. Yeah, well, Gilly here just saying, why wouldn't you make the third and final substitution, Jed Donahue, and something to ask post-game, because in the meantime, the ball's come in and Marchioli has a strike away at it, and it's cleared out by Undy. Falls out to Toghill. Man tries to skip over it, hits his heel. All sorts is happening down there, and Brennan comes out with it off man. Down the right, he switches it out. Cass is lurking, but a little bit too much heat on that one, and Ferguson mops that one up comfortably. I think he does. It was, yeah, he does have one more, because there's only two that I can just recognise down there on the benches. And Curran Ferns is bustled over by Scott Lamont, who is ropeable there. Now, you have to think Kim Barkey's given yellow cards all day, or all game for dissent. That is true. That is true. So we've got a free kick now for the Tilford Zebras. Alex Lazinski standing over this one, given Ben Whitehall is off the park. It is good range for him. He has scored a few free kicks this season. Loves the set play, does Albie Lazinski and Ben Whitehall. See if he can get this one into the window. He gets it on target, and it's in! What a brilliant goal from Alex Lazinski. Right to left, what a fantastic free kick into the top left-hand corner. Absolutely fantastic. 79th minute that one was. After Scott Lamont bundled over Curran Ferns. And Kane Pearce was on that post as well. He was on. I think Kane Pearce went right, or went to his left, or from our point of view, we'll just say for argument's sake, the camera's view, he went right. And he was befuddled, I think, by the direction of the ball from Alex Lazinski. So 3-1, a bit more respectable for the Zebras, and set plays. It's earned them a goal in the end. But, it's going to be hard-pressed to get a couple more. But stranger things have happened. And if it did go to extra time, it would be just like Istanbul of 2005, Gilly. It would be sensational. Just a great spectacle. But that remains to be seen. Ferns on the ball now on the left for the Zebras. He skips it around. Hay sends in a cross. Few Zebra shirts lurking as well, but it's cleared out. I didn't quite catch who it was, but Andy Brennan on the ball now. Tries to skip around a few Zebra shirts, and it's come out with McEwen. I thought there was a foul there on Brennan, but nonetheless, play goes on. Ferns tries to send in another cross. Cut out by Jaden Hay. Man on the ball now. Dishes it out to Undy as they stream for the Zebras. South Hobart. And Cass has it on the left now. Puts in a cross. And man just brushes away. Tog Hill and Ferguson's done very well there. He's taken a little bit of a dive there. Does Matty Ferguson. Earns the free kick. Just a lingering leg from Brayden Mann. Don't think there was any malice in that one. Nonetheless, we've got a free kick now for the Tilford Zebras. He's done very well, Matt Ferguson. Between him and Courtney, you'd have to think they've kept their side in it, other than the earlier blunder from Russell Courtney for the first goal. Undy on it now. Morton. Falls out to Courtney. He skips around Undy and puts it down the line looking for Walsh. She tries to get a touchdown on it. And it's out for a South Hobart throw-in off Walsh in the end. Scott will take this one in the 82nd now. Probably about 10 minutes without a time, you'd think, Gilly.
Yeah, here we go. It seemed to put a bit of life into them, that's for sure. The game definitely needed a goal for the Zebras. As Morton feeds out on the right, picks out Brennan to perfection. Strong pressure coming from Tog Hill. He's kept him honest here. And Brennan puts it into the box. A header coming from Mann, but well bodied up by Courtney. And a roll out from Ferguson. Finds fielding. Plays it through to McEwen. Back to Marchioli. Marchioli finds Tog Hill on the line. Looks to pick out Ferns. It's cut off by Morton, but straight to fielding. Waits for South Hobart pressure to come and then goes back to his keeper. Not his best ball, but it ends up with Fag, who goes to Courtney. Courtney out on the right has lime cordial boots available for him. A sloppy ball from Walsh. Picks out Ludford, who puts it back the other way looking for Mann, who looks to have been fouled. And there's a bit to say between Mann and Fag in the process. Mann is one that white line fever always has a bit to say. Scott with a throw in on halfway. A fair bit going on between the pair. That's one to watch as the game progresses. Throwing comes to Scott. Over the head of Cass it goes. Picks out Undy. Undy from the byline. Plays back to Cass. He tries to beat a couple. There's a bit of fire in this game, you've got to say. There's a lot of heavy challenges. A little knock here and there. As Cass will look to bring it back in through a throw-in. We're into the 84th minute, so not a lot of time for Zebras to peg two more back as Cass skips by Walsh, plays it into the box, looking for Mann. He tries an ambitious outstretched leg. Comes to Morton. A shocker of a shot. Ricochets out as Marchioli, I think, helped it on its way even further. So it's out for a corner. Cass will stroll over and take this one. It looks like South Hobart will have another chance to make it maybe add a fourth to the tally, but the way it's going, they'll face Rangers in next week's Victory Cup Grand Final. Played in from Cass. Looking for Brennan. It's cut off by fielding. Comes out to Ludlow, who tries and strike from the top of the D and misses that one, and well wide of goal.
Yeah, well wide. Ambitious, to say the least, Gilly. Ferguson with the goal kick now. He's opting to go with it long and strong. Ludlow gets a header to this one over Henry Fagg, and Marchioli is just pushed off the ball there, enough for a foul from Brayden Mann. Has a bit of a laugh with him after it too. I think it's McEwen on it now. Tog Hill down the left, goes inboard to Marchioli. He puts it back to McEwen. Nice little touch there from McEwen, who's just slammed over by Caleb Ludlow. He's been in the wars. Yeah, he literally did. He very much did. In the meantime, Brennan coming down the right. Can he get a shot away? Great save there from Matty Ferguson. Just to save his side further blunder or further blemish on the score sheet. And McEwen, in the meantime, is still down after that challenge from Caleb Ludlow. I think that might be his day done because Jordan Muller is warming up on the sideline. he's in a lot of bother. The trainer has been called on, so hopefully it's not too serious. I'm not too sure if it was a foul. I didn't quite catch whether Ludlow got the ball, but Kim Barker was a bit dazzled. The ball hit him in the face as well. So have to, yeah, Falcon right in the face, right in the schnoz. So sorry.
Sunday.
Yeah, Adam McEwen.
So he's received some attention from trainer Gary Pitchford. We'll wait and see what happens there. Looks like Jordan Muller might replace him. He looks to be warming up. So we'll wait and see here. We're into the 86th minute, so it looks like Muller will come on. It looks like McEwen's day is done. So we're waiting for the substitution to happen here in the 87th minute. They're still waiting. What is going on? Anyway, we're into the 87th minute and play has got back underway, and the substitution hasn't yet come for Adam McEwen, who's hobbled off on the far side. And then he's actually back on and fine all of a sudden. Not sure whether Gary Pitchford employed some magic spray there.
Gotta love the magic spray, mate. Corner comes in, finds Brendan on the edge of 18, unmarked, and it's just luckily just trickles into the grateful hands of Matt Ferguson, who bombs it long. Lezinski gets a head over to Ferns. He sends it over to Walsh on the right. Cleared out off the head of Liam Scott, back out to Lezinski, who tries to send in across, but it's cut out very well by Caleb Ludlow. So we've got to throw in. I think the substitution has been put on hold. Jordan Muller walking back to the bench. Throw-in comes. Braden Mann clears it out to Brennan. Twists around Courtney. Puts it forward to himself, but Courtney's got the pace. Does he have the pace? For a centre-back, he's very pacey. Andy Brennan still has it nonetheless. Sends in an ambitious cross. Cut out by McEwen. Falls out to Nick McDonald now. He goes out to Josh Fielding on the left as the Zebras pour a few numbers forward. He puts it down the line. Walsh is lurking. Gets inside of Jaden Hay, and he's going to get hold of it, is Walsh. Sends in a low cross, and Kane Pearce will mop this one up quite comfortably. We're into the 89th. Probably about 3, you'd have to think 3 minutes added. You wouldn't think there'd be too many. If there's more than that, I'd be pretty surprised. Man misses the header from the clearance from Kane Pearce, quite comically. But he won't mind. They're into. You'd think now they're into the finals. So Walsh on the ball, puts it down to himself on the left. He's not going to get to this one, no matter how much pace he's got. So goal kick now for South Hobart, and the game is South Hobart more or less shutting up shop in the last 5 to 10 minutes. Not really looking to press too much. I'm surprised that they how many substitutions have South Hobart made? I'm trying to think. Jaden Hay came on, and Connor Cass at half time. And they made all 3, have they? Okay. I don't think they have made all 3. They've still got one. Cass and Jaden Hay have both come on. So I don't know, it doesn't look like Ken Morton's going to get anyone else on. He's not renowned for resting players. He just sort of palms it off as saying, oh, they're enjoying themselves out there, we're winning. Why not? Russell Courtney now. Just clears it long, cut out by Ludlow. Brendan now chips it over to Mann. His touch is a bit lax, and he's brought down in the end by Henry Fagg, and the two tussle. They're not happy with each other, though, so they're not really liking it. Brendan, in the meantime, has gotten through, and the shot comes, or clearance rather, from Josh Fielding. Connor Cass was lurking dangerously right on the goal line as well.
Surprised he didn't put that one home, because it was coming towards him right in the hey diddle diddle of the 6-yard box, and he just couldn't quite finish it off. Timely intervention from Josh Fielding, so Morton to take the corner as we enter the 90th minute. plays it forward. It's Fielding who has it for an instant. It comes back to Brennan, who hadn't moved from a seated position right on the byline and obviously was offside. So a free kick for the Zebras. And added 4 minutes. Right, okay, so 4 minutes to play here. Might be some nervy minutes for South Hobart if Zebras can peg one back quickly. It's halted as Ludlow receives a free kick after hammering it into the arm of Walsh. So 4 minutes of added time here, KG5 Football Park. Scott plays down the left. Picks out Brennan. He's got Fielding to contend with. Pressure coming from Marchioli. He bustles over Brennan, and then Brennan returns the favour. Gets a little bit more of Marchioli, and Marchioli ends up on the deck. I'm not sure exactly why that was a foul. From my opinion, it was probably pretty even contact between the pair. As Courtney sends it the other way for a free kick. Marchioli spreads out on the left to Toghill. Toghill down the left he goes. Lazinski can't control. Hasn't really been his day, Lazinski. A wonderful finish for the goal in the 79th minute, but aside from that, hasn't had a huge influence on the contest. Marchioli out to Fielding, helps it further to Walsh, who backhills it. Ricochets back off Scott, and out on the right they go. Man on the ball, puts out in front of himself. Toghill does well to stand him up. Man strikes early, well saved by Ferguson. He's a tremendous goalkeeper. Ferguson on the ball, swings a boot forward. It's a high ball out on to the right, looking for Walsh. He traps it down for Fielding. Fielding plays it through, looking for Walsh, cut off and sent back the other way through Scott. Throw in for Fag and the Zebras. Fag looks short to Fielding, opts to go over the head of Morton. Doesn't quite work out the way he'd hoped as Morton gets a head in. Marchioli gives it to Toghill, who smashes it back the other direction. Trapped on the chest of Lazinski, he gets it down. He'll look to try and fire off a shot here, if not for Ludford, who cannons it away. Out in great ball, not only a good cross, but it picks out man to perfection. Places to Morton. They got time and space here, South Hobart. Morton looks to hold it up a little. He's bustled over by Fag. Play on, says Kim Barker, as Fag looks to squirt out a ball on the right-hand side, looking for Fielding, who remained up there. But unfortunately, the line beat everyone. It'll be a throw-in for South Hobart. Cass down to Ludlow, comes back to Cass. Cass looks to get it out in front of Brennan, and Ferguson collects off his line. So we're into the 93rd minute, 1 minute to go here in Tilford Zebras season. As Scott picks it up, finds Ludlow, he skips round one, comes to Cass. He beats Fag. Cass does well, plays it out on the right. Looking for man, he brings it down, dinks inside of Toghill, gets it across to Brennan, who in a horrible fashion sprays it wide of goal. And Barker's going to have a bit of a chat with his fourth official here. A fair bit to say between the pair. It'll be interesting to see what goes on here. There's only a minute left, so as Fielding barks to Kim Barker, there's a footy game on tonight. Come on. Classic stuff from the elder statesman that is Josh Fielding. The fourth official having quite a bit to say to Kim Barker. Barker going over. I'm not sure what the go is here. I'm going to chat to Toghill now. Right up in Toghill's face. This is all very confusing without knowing what is being said. And then play resumes. And really? And Ferguson drives them forward. Full time here at KG5 Football Park, and South Hobart proceed to the grand final. A good win from Ken Morton's men, 3-1. 2 goals coming in the first half through Braden Mann and Caleb Ludlow. The third goal, which was the icing on the cake for them, was a terrific one from Mann, volleying home into the top right-hand corner off a brilliant hay ball from the right. And then Zebras peg one back through Lazinski in their 79th minute, but unfortunately it was too little too late for the Zebras, and South Hobart go into their second Victory Cup Grand Final in as many years and will look to complete what would be a historic treble. Alex Luttrell, final words.
Comprehensive, mate. I think that after the first goal, they were really not in doubt. And the Zebras' luck in competitions, or bad luck rather, continues. Obviously, losing the Summer Cup final, back-to-back Victory Cup semi-final losses, back-to-back like a Celiac Cup final losses. It's just cup competitions just aren't their forte, and it just sums up there. Adam McEwen strutting off the field with his face, or his head rather, in his shirt. He's played in the last 3 like a Celiac Cup finals, twice with the Zebras and once with the Eagles before that, and he's lost all 3. So just a lot of bad luck in and about the Zebras camp at the moment. Runners up again, bridesmaids behind South Hobart. It seems to be a little bit of a trend. Obviously not last season, but credit to South Hobart. Take nothing away from them. It was comprehensive. They're going to be a real handful for Northern Rangers next week, and I can't really see at the moment the Rangers getting over the top. But I hope that they prove me wrong and put out a real good challenge for Ken Morton's men.
Thanks for joining us here at KG5 Football Park for a big day of Victory Cup action. It's been our pleasure bringing it to you. So the final is booked, Northern Rangers versus South Hobart Football Club next week at KG5. Join us then for all the coverage from that. For now, that's all from us at KG5.
Football. A game where greatness is defined in an instant. A game of suspense, skill, and strength. A game of trials and triumphs. All in the pursuit of one thing: victory. Experience all football has to offer. See Victory League live.